14. Gem. I woke before the sun, driven by the need to put an end to our adventure as soon as possible. After adding fuel to the fire and walking Isra long enough to assure her that I'd be back before the flames went out, I hurried up the mountain to fetch the bulbs we'd come for. I couldn't risk telling her the truth about the garden. No matter what happened between us last night, I still need an excuse to leave my cell. Come spring, I must steal the royal roses and return to my people. Still, I didn't like leaving her alone, even for a short time. I walked as quickly as my sore legs would carry me, and was back by her side by the time the first pink light kissed the desert. This time, she was where I had left her, curled in a ball on the ground, her sweater-covered hands pressed against her lips. I watched her sleep as I tied the gnarled roots of the bulbs together with a strip of dried grass, dreading the moment she'd open her eyes. The only thing worse than hating Isra is, whatever this is, wanting her to realize what a fool she is, wanting all this to be over. I want to go home. I want to be back with my people I know, in a world I understand. I'm sick to death of this upside-down place where I crave the touch of a girl who holds me prisoner, and every other word I speak is a lie. Half the time, I can't even tell who I'm lying to, her or myself. I spend the day angry, at myself, at Isra, at the bulbs she insisted on fondling and sniffing before we headed down the mountain, at the rocks on the trail, at the sun and the wind and the dirt in my smooth-skinned shoes, and the needles on every cactus we stopped to drink. I am in a foul mood, made fouler by trying to hide it from Isra. The walk back to the dome has been torture. A part of me is eager to be back in my cell. At least there, Isra can't cling to my arm, or brush her body against mine, or sigh through her parted lips, or tilt her face up with that look in her eyes. The one that makes me want to strangle her, and kiss her, and strangle her some more, and maybe leap off a cliff after strangling is done, just to put myself out of my misery. It won't be long now, Isra says, shielding her face from the setting sun with one narrow hand. I can smell it. Smell what? The dome. I never realized it had a smell, she says, wrinkling her nose. Like metal when it's cold, and sour nutshells mixed together. I grunt in response. What do you think it smells like? She asks. We'll be close enough for the guards to catch sight of us soon, I say, ignoring her question. I'm not in the mood to play her blind girl games. Not everything has a smell, and if the dome had a smell, it would smell like death. Slow, creeping, unmerciful death. We should stop here, wait for it to get dark. There's a mound of rocks just ahead. It should conceal us from anyone using a spyglass. I don't tell her that my people gathered in those rocks, that we piled them high enough to hide a scouting party of 2 or 3. I don't tell her that I came here on my first scouting mission when I was 14 and stood behind the rocks, seething hatred for the dome that festers like a boil on the horizon. It's strange to stand now in the place where my younger self vowed to destroy my enemy at all costs, with a smooth-skinned queen clinging to my arm. I once thought I knew everything I ever wanted to know about the Smoothskins. Now I know nothing. With every passing day, I grow more and more ignorant. If I keep it up, by the time I return to my people, I'll be as rattled in the head as the Queen of Yuan. Gem? She tugs lightly at my sleeve. Gem? Yes. She leans closer, hugging my arm to her chest, making me aware of her, no matter how much I wish I weren't. I want to push her away. I want to pull her closer. I want to punch the pile of rocks until my knuckles bleed. The pain would be a welcome distraction. Are you all right? I'm fine, I snap, then force myself to ask in a gentler voice. How's your head? She tilts her head to one side and then the other, stretching the long column of her neck. It still hurts, she says. I've never had a headache like this before. I don't know. Maybe I just need something to eat. Soon, I stare at the hard horizon, willing the sun to sink faster. You'll be back in your rooms not long after dark. She sighs, a mournful, defeated rush of breath, as if she is the one on the way to her cell. I'll miss this. The desert? Well, yes, she says, sounding surprised. I will. The wind especially, even though it's cold, but her fingers curl into my arm. I didn't mean the desert. I meant I'll miss being familiar, being able to touch. It's the first either of us has said about that sort of thing all day. The closer we get to the dome, the more those moments by the fire seem like a fever dream. I can't believe I tasted her, touched her, that I thought I could reach her with my words. That real Isra and the real gem might find a way to be allies, maybe more than allies. But Isra isn't real. She's a smoothskin. She was raised in an artificial world built on lies, bought and paid for with the lives of my people. The fact that I could forget that for even a moment proves how dangerously close I am to losing my mind. My purpose, myself. If only my father had left Gare instead. Gare would have already found a way to bring the roses home to our people. He would have never let his heart soften towards the smooth skin. He would have never loosened his grip on hate. Jem? Isra tips her face up to mine. The dying light catches her eyes and shrinks her pupils to specks of black, leaving nothing but green so bright I can't stop staring. What are you thinking? Nothing. Liar, she whispers, pinching my arm through my shirt. It's impossible to think nothing. Even when you're asleep, you're thinking something. I grunt. It's true. She closes her eyes, soaking in the last of the sun's fading warmth. How else would we dream? My people believe some dreams come from the spirit world, I say, that they're messages from the ancestors. Her eyes slit and her brow wrinkles. I hope they're wrong. Why? Are your ancestors unhappy with you? Sending you bad dreams? I don't know. Maybe. I have the same dream. A strong breeze ruffles her hair, and she huddles closer to my side. When she speaks again, I have to strain to hear her over the howling of the wind. I dream about the night the tower burned, over and over again. My mother died that night. My father and I would have died too, if the guards hadn't reached us in time. For the first time since I awoke, this morning, the tight, angry knot in my belly loosens. Fire is a terrible way to lose a life, and 4 years old is too young to lose a mother. I place my hand on hers, warming her fingers. That doesn't sound like a dream from your ancestors. No. The muscles tighten in her jaw. Maybe it is. Maybe the dream is my punishment. For what? Did you set the fire? No, she says, voice breaking. Then stop blaming yourself. You were a child, I say roughly. She seems determined to take on unnecessary pain. It's incredible, wasteful. It makes me angry at Isra on Isra's behalf, which is just confusing. Your ancestors wouldn't send a dream to torture you while you sleep, I explain, trying to be patient, not without a reason. That's good to know. She squints and rubs her fingers in a circle at her temple. Her head has been aching on and off all day. At one point, we had to sit down and rest until the pain passed. It's best we're nearing the dome. Isra isn't made for the desert, no matter how much she enjoys the wind. I had a strange dream last night. At least, I think it was a dream, she continues. Before you found me on the trail, I dreamed of fire again, but this time there was a face in one of the burning beams. Whose face? I don't know. A woman. I don't think I've met her, but her face was made out of flames, so hard to tell. She lifts her hands, tracing an image in the empty air in front of her again. Her fingers are graceful, and I suddenly wish I could see her dance the way my women dance around the fire on the night of the full moons. Did the woman say anything to you? I push images of Isra, dressed in clothes of my people, her long legs free to kick and leap, from my mind. She opened and closed her mouth, like she was trying to speak, Isra says, but I couldn't hear her over the fire. I make a considering sound. That could have been an ancestor dream. She turns back to me, abandoning her drawing. You think the woman was one of my ancestors? She could be, I shrugged. Maybe a grandmother, or a great-grandmother, since you don't recognize her face. I never met my grandmother either, Isra says. She died before I was born. Maybe your grandmother, then. She could be trying to tell you something. Telling me not to play with fire, she says with a ragged laugh. Do you have a habit of playing with fire? Her lips lift on one side. I suppose, she says, voice husky, in a manner of speaking. A memory from last night, Isra's bare throat golden in the firelight, my mouth on her skin, feeling her pulse race beneath my lips, flickers through my mind, making it hard to swallow. Maybe that's it, I say. You should listen closer if you dream that dream again. I will, she says. Thank you. I grunt. I did nothing worth thanking me for, and I resent her casual gratitude. If she's really thankful, then she should send food to my people the instant we return to the city. She should set me free and tell her advisor and her people to eat their protests. Set me free and come with me. Let me show her that my people are animals. Let my people see that the Queen of Yuan has a heart and a soul and a wish to make things better. And then we can make love in my hut and fly into the sky to slay the summer star together on the back of a golden dragon. I grunt again. Fantasy creatures will fly through the air before the peace I'm imagining comes to pass. What does that one mean? She asks, tapping my chest with one long finger. I haven't placed that grunt. It's not the disgusted with me grunt, or the preparing to say something mean grunt, or the trying not to smile grunt. A smile splits my face before I can stop it. I grunt, and she laughs a laugh like stones skittering down a mountainside, wild and reckless. That's the one, she says, still laughing. I like that one. It's my favorite. I like your laugh. You don't laugh in there. You'll miss the laugh, but not the touching. Her smile fades. That's what we're talking about. I remember, you know. I never forget. Her lips part, begging for a kiss for the 10th or 100th or 1000th time today. By the ancestors, I should just give up fighting myself and kiss her. I want to kiss her. I'm dying to kiss her. A part of me even says that my promise to my people compels me to kiss her. Assuming she keeps her promise to send food, playing at being Isra's friend has gotten me closer to helping my people than I ever could have imagined possible. Who knows what I could accomplish as her lover? If I keep her happy, she might even give me the roses of her own free will. Seduction won't be difficult. Despite the voices in her head that assure her I'm a monster, I assure her that she is something worse for wanting my hands on her. I know Isra wants me. I should manipulate her desire and forget about the rest. Who cares what she thinks or feels beyond the lust that makes her press her body close to mine? Who cares what I feel beyond the satisfaction of serving my people and the pleasure of being with a woman for the first time in too many months? But the thought of that kind of deception turns my stomach. I won't use or be used in that way, not unless I have no other choice. Forget I said anything, Isra says, a nervous shake of her head sending her hair tumbling over her shoulders. She tips her chin down, casting her face in shadow. You're right. I didn't say anything. Exactly, she says, in a pained whisper, and her pain pains me too. More evidence of my weakness. The sun is down. I take her hand and tuck it efficiently into the crook of my arm, hoping to spare us both any more of this, whatever it is. We should go. Wait, she stops, holding tightly to my arm. I want to tell you sorry for what I said last night. I've been thinking about it all day, and I wasn't ready for the questions about what I thought, or felt. I know it's best for both of us if we should go. She sighs. You've made me think. When we get back to the city, I'm going to be different. I grunt, but this time she doesn't find it funny. Neither do I. So you said, I say, unable to hide my doubt. I tug my arm, gently pulling her forward. So I say, she insists. I know what I've been taught. Now I want to know the truth. I realized years ago the two are always the same, but I've never had the courage to say a word to anyone else. But I won't remain silent anymore. I'm not going to ask questions. I'm going to pay attention. I'm not going to take for granted that Junji's opinions or anyone else's opinions are fact until I find proof for myself. I don't care if there is. They can't. She takes a shaky breath and her fingers tighten around my arm. They can't force me to make decisions before I'm ready. I'll find a way to convince them that I'm good for the city and that changes I want to make are in the best interest of all of our people. All right. I fight the urge to reach out to her again, to try to make her understand the truth about Yuan and the desperate situation of my people. But I can't. I don't trust her, not yet. But maybe, if she means what she says, I'm interested to see this new Isra. She smiles. Me too, and I. Her smile grows bigger and she turns to me. Would you come to the rose garden with me tonight? Tonight? I ask as I move around the stones. Yes, she nods and falls into step behind me. I don't want to wait. Will you? Yes, I want to shout. Yes, finally, a chance to learn more about the magic that will save my people. But instead, I force myself to wait several long moments before offering carefully. Why do you want to go there? I can't let Isra know how interested I am in her magic roses. There are guards already stomping through the gardens at all hours of the day and night. If she adds additional patrols, my odds of escaping with a plant go from not likely to impossible. I want to see you again, she says shyly. If that's all right. I ignore the way my chest tightens. Will there be time? I ask, not certain how long the magic takes. The guards come through the royal gardens every 10 to 15 minutes. She hums beneath her breath. That could be enough time. Or not. It depends on whether or not they're being cooperative. The roses. Sometimes they show what I ask to see, she explains. Sometimes they show me something else. The night we left, I saw Bo knocking at the tower door. Her fingers tap a nervous rhythm on my arm. Hopefully my absence wasn't discovered. I doubt it was. I think the roses are trying to scare me into staying at Yuan. They've been different lately. I don't like being alone with them anymore. I walk a little more slowly. The way she talks about the flowers, it sounds like the roses are alive. Aggressively alive. It makes me remember her words that first night about their hunger. What are the roses hungry for? I ask. What? She stumbles, but I hold her up, carrying her until she regains her feet. That first night, you said they were hungry. I watch her face, barely able to see her features in the increasing darkness. The first moon won't rise for another hour or more. Soon, we'll both be walking in the dark. You said the roses were hungry. She licks her lips. How far are we from the dome? The smell is strong now. Is it blood? She turns sharply in my direction. How did you know? I didn't. It was a guess. I saw the thorn under your fingernail, I say, more disturbed by the confirmation of my suspicion than I thought I would be. Magic fed by blood is dark magic. My people have never practiced dark magic. Your people have also starved, while the smooth skins grew fat in their enchanted cities. How often do you feed them? This might be my only chance to learn how to care for the plant I steal. Dark magic or not, most of my people won't care as long as it puts food in their babies' bellies. I don't feed them, she says. I mean, I do, but that's not what. They require a larger offering every 30 years, sometimes 20. It depends. Depends on what? She sighs. Oh, I don't know. Lots of things. If the dome is damaged by a storm and the roses have to repair it, that takes a lot of strength. If a blight touches the harvest, or children are born sick, or any number of things. She shrugs and lifts a hand in the air. Any weakness in our city or our people. Correcting those things can make the roses grow hungry again faster. But the rose's magic doesn't stop the children from being born tainted. I hate the word, but it's what she understands. She shakes her head. No, it doesn't, which is as good an argument as any that the tainted people aren't a threat, she says, surprisingly. Our covenant has remained strong for almost 800 years. The roses take care of us. Surely if the tainted were something to be afraid of, the roses would use magic to correct their mutation. Makes sense, I say, strangely proud of her, and hopeful in a way I haven't been before. Maybe something is changing inside of Isra. I agree, she says. I can just make out her smile in the near dark. I'll have to remember that when I talk to Genji about doing away with the Banished camp. I slow again. You're going to do it? I am, as soon as I can. After we plant the bulbs tomorrow, I'll go straight to his chambers, she says, squeezing my arm. But tonight I want to see you. All right. I smile down at her, my empty stomach clenching, more nervous than I thought I would be at the thought. I wonder what she'll see when she looks at me tonight. A smile or bared teeth, a man or a monster. But I want to give the plants my blood. You're already weak. No, you can't, she says, sounding faintly horrified by the thought. It has to be. The roses are only fed on what? On women, she says, but there's something crooked in her voice, a sharp edge that jabs at the hope inside me. It's all right. A little blood won't do me any harm. What about a lot of blood? I ask, putting my finger on what's bothering me the most about the roses. You say the roses need a larger offering every 30 years. How large? She falters again. This time, I don't pull her along. I stop and turn to her, making sure she's steady on her feet before capturing her face in my hands. I don't want her to hide. I need the truth, and there's just enough light left for me to see her eyes. She can never lie with her eyes. They will answer my question, even if her lips will not. How large, Isra? I whisper. Do you mean a death? Her lips part, and a tiny choking sound escapes her throat. Her eyes tighten and begin to shimmer the way they do before Smoothskin's tears comes. No, not a death, she lies. You swear it? I swear. Not one of my people have ever died to feed the roses. This time, her eyes tell me she's speaking the truth. Either she's getting better at lying, or there's something I don't understand. Wouldn't be the first time, I mumbled beneath my breath. What? She asks. Your ways are strange to me, I sigh, feeling every mile we've walked in the past 2 days. Some stranger than others. They're strange to me, too. She leans her cheek into my hand, and for a moment she looks so young, so lost. It's all right. I wrap my arms around her and pull her close, dropping my lips to the top of her head, kissing her wild hair. Is it terrible that I don't want to go back? She asks. No, I say, wishing she'd look up. Yes, it is. If you knew. If I knew what? She shakes her head and pulls away, until only her fingers touch my arms. Nothing. Let's go. At least there's food there. I'm starving. I'm sure you're hungry too. We can put off the roses until another night if you'd like. Needle set you free once. I'm sure she could manage it again. We could eat first and then go, I say, more curious about the roses than ever before. Could your maid? She could, Isra says. Or I could crawl up and get us something from the tower. We keep apples and nuts and other things in the pantry, in the sitting room for something between light meals. It wouldn't take long for me to fetch some, especially if you tell me when it's safe to climb. I usually have to listen for the guard, but why can't you go in the door? I'm sure Beau has put guards outside, she says, her tone souring. He promised he'd assure my privacy, but I know he and his father work. They watch me. They'll want to know if I leave my rooms. That's why I didn't take the door on the way out. Then how did you? I jumped, she says, from the balcony. Jumped? The thought makes my stomach flip. I'm a warrior. I'm not afraid of much. But I've seen the height of that tower. All the way from the top. Tiered roofs are good for more than just decoration. It's only a 10-foot drop each time. She shrugs, and I can hear the pride in her voice. I've been getting out that way since I was 11. Getting up takes longer, but there are lots of stones sticking out from the outer wall. It's easy to climb in bare feet. You climb the outside of the tower? She nods. That's mad, outrageous, courageous. Impressive, I say. Thank you, Isra says, grinning. Crazy, but impressive. She giggles, and I smile in spite myself. You really do play with fire. I do. She clears her throat, and her fingers pluck nervously at my shirt. So, food, and then the roses? Yes, I'd like for you to see me, give you something to dream about tonight. I meant it to be a joke, but there's nothing funny about the way she says, Oh, I've already dreamed about you, this morning in fact. My mouth goes dry. Really? Yes. It was a nice dream, she says. A very nice dream. Isra, I warn, not sure which one of us I'm warning, or what will happen if the warning is ignored. Jem, she mimics, my tone so perfect. I can't help but smile, and grunt. She laughs as she steps closer, wrapping her arm around my waist. After the slightest hesitation, I put my arm around her shoulders, and we're walking, hips bumping, her cheek pressed to my chest. And for now, we are just a boy and a girl, walking the desert under a sky full of stars.